On September 3, 2001, System of a Down was scheduled to perform a free concert on a vacant lot in Los Angeles. The band was set to release their second studio album, Toxicity, the following day and wanted to show their appreciation to the fans in their hometown. However, as more and more people tried to cram into the venue, tensions began to rise, leading to the intervention of SWAT teams positioned at key points. As reported by Kerrang at the time, SO80's record label Columbia staff instructed the press to leave immediately. Moments later, the announcement was made that the show had to be canceled for safety reasons. The stage was immediately stormed by furious fans, and the situation escalated into a full-blown riot. Amplifiers were toppled into the crowd, and people could be seen through clouds of tear gas, destroying everything in their path. It was a disastrous situation, but it hinted that System of a Down was a band ready to break into the mainstream. When they released their self-titled debut album 3 years earlier, the world didn't quite know what to make of them. Some labeled System of a Down as the new Rage Against the Machine due to their inflammatory political elements, while others categorized them within the nu metal sphere. But there was always something different about this band, something poetic and highly intelligent. Something serpentine and unpredictable. Something strange? Sometimes the strangeness can be a guitar. Other times it's Serge's vocals, explained guitarist Darren Malakian. There's a circus-like atmosphere in this band. A friend of mine was listening to the new tracks and told me it reminded him of a Warner Bros. Cartoon. He wasn't necessarily referring to the themes of the music, but the funny sound effects. They certainly had a caricature-like side, but in other ways, Toxicity was a much more serious proposition. Partially inspired by their love/hate relationship with Los Angeles, the album also tackled issues such as addiction, chop suey, incarceration without cause, prison song, and group sex, bounce. Not that it was always clear what vocalist Serj Tankian was singing about. I don't know what it means, but I know how it makes me feel, said producer Rick Rubin about the album's title track. It's like many of Neil Young's songs, where the lyrics don't necessarily make sense, but they give you this feeling that something's happening. Perhaps the most controversial track on was Alba, written by Darren, as it was inspired by the infamous cult leader, Charles Manson. I collect a lot of things about Charles Manson, and I have all his parole hearings, the guitarist stated, before explaining that the song's title referred to Manson's environmental movement, ACTWAY, an acronym for air, trees, water, animals. When TV shows only give you a few seconds of what Manson says, like if I wanted to kill, I'd kill everyone, they don't show you what he said in the hour before that statement, he continued. There's a whole other side to Manson that isn't as evil, but is actually very right and very just. Musically, Toxicity marked the Armenian-American band's evolution from the unpredictability and chaos of their debut, moving in even more directions. One of the key moments is also the most subtle, a hidden track commonly known as Arto, featuring a special appearance by Arto Tunçboyaçyan, a multi-instrumentalist of Armenian Turkish folk and jazz. There are no guitars or anything like that on that track, bassist Shavo Odagian told MTV. We used Armenian instruments and all played together. It's very emotional, and my mom cries every time she hears it. We wanted to remember all the Armenians who died in 1915 during the pogrom. Elsewhere, there were plenty of guitars. I've never heard my music sound this good, Darren enthused during the album's mixing. Personally, I felt our first album didn't sound as dense, as massive as I would have liked. So I recorded like 12 guitar tracks for each song this time, just to make sure it had power. The initial recording sessions resulted in over 30 tracks, all considered good enough for an album. The band members voted on which ones to include, except for the primary songwriter, Darren, who had to step back from the process. I spent too much time with each of them, he told us. It was too hard for me to choose. The rejected tracks from the recording sessions later surfaced online as Toxicity 2. These tracks are incomplete and do not reflect the high standards of our sound, the band stated in a press release. We're disappointed that our fans are listening to something less than the best possible recordings from System of a Down.
Imagine a clinically proven 6-second method you can use starting today to restore healthy blood sugar levels, regardless of your age or medical condition. Thousands of people are already doing it and they have been able to balance their blood sugar levels successfully. It's so easy, you can do it right in your own home. So, tap the Learn More button now to discover this powerful method. Don't wait. Take control of your blood sugar levels and start your journey to better health today.
In typical subversive fashion, they reworked and released much of the material on the 2002 album Steal This Album, a sort of statement in a pre-streaming era when the conversation was about illegal music downloads. But we're getting a bit ahead of ourselves. The day after the LA riot, System of a Down released Toxicity, which was an immediate and massive success. The album, which would go on to sell over 12 million copies worldwide, sold 220,000 copies in its first week and topped the US Billboard 200 chart. This happened right as the events of September 11 were changing the world forever. The lead single, Chop Suey, originally titled Suicide, was placed on Clear Channel's list of lyrically questionable songs and was effectively removed from the playlists of over 1,000 US radio stations. At this point, their momentum was unstoppable, and System was set to become the dominant force in 2000s metal. We're now in a position where we can tell people to judge us for who we are, said drummer John Dolmayan shortly before the album's release. We haven't changed our nationalities. We still believe in expressing our opinions, whether it's about political or social commentary, or about eating pizza. Everyone wanted us to be like Rage Against the Machine when we first came out. Well, we're not. It feels like all our hard work is finally maturing, he concluded, not knowing just how right he could be. I know I might sound like a broken record, but if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, share the video, and leave us comments with your thoughts and opinions, or what else you'd like to see or hear on our humble channel. It would help us a lot in growing the channel. Also, in the video description, there's a link where you can buy us a coffee. Until next time, I greet you with love and good health. To your head, cheers!